We're in the middle of a content frenzy. From your neighbor next door to your local gym, everyone seems to be making video these days. But why is video so popular for brands? Since the rise of short-form vertical video, platforms have been promising massive views and exposure without needing a following. Many believe going viral and blowing their brand is just one video away. And to be fair, they might be right. Not many people notice, but TikTok completely changed the way content is distributed online. In the era of social networks, who you follow and what you like dictated what content you were recommended. But today, algorithms simply observe what content you watch and how you do it, and they use that data on your behavior to recommend you stuff. This makes follower kind of irrelevant. TikTok gave the everyday person a platform to be discovered, and people are taking it. Well, most people are taking it, but not my friend Melinda. Melinda Livsey is a brand strategist who built her early reputation by being on a popular YouTube channel. Ironically though, Melinda doesn't like video and has a plan to grow her business staying out of it.
Maybe I say that because I don't necessarily want to create it.
Alright, not gonna lie, I'm skeptical, but I need to find out what it is. Okay, Melinda, so let's get this straight. Some people argue that if you're not making video to build your brand these days, you have the risk of being irrelevant or falling behind. What are your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts that come up with this because on one hand, I do see how it was essential because my content did originate there. And so I do see a need for it, although personally I fight against it because I don't want to create it myself. I don't know if it's essential. And maybe I say that because I don't necessarily want to create it. So maybe it's me pushing against that because since I got my start on YouTube and I did put out videos for a while, then I've transitioned my strategy to go on podcasts, to talk to other people's audience, and to give and contribute to people's communities. So I will do private talks, I'll do workshops. Technically that's video-ish because I'm talking to a group of people. They see me live on, it's a video platform. But that's where I've been putting my time and effort in addition to writing. And so I'm leaning into the things I like to do. And so maybe that's why I push back against the video.
Okay, so what's the difference between making your own content, so you record your own videos, or being in someone else's videos and podcasts?
Well, for one, all I have to do is show up and talk, answer questions. And that's what happened on the YouTube show too. All I had to do was go and share my opinion, ask questions, share my story. And I wasn't responsible for any of the production of it. So no post-production, no posting it, no dealing with the comments, nothing like that. So I just came and showed up and I was able to leave. And that happens on podcasts. That happens when I talk to people's groups. It's not my platform. So I'm not responsible for any of that. I feel like I have social media anxiety. So even the thought of having 100 comments waiting for me, some people might be energized and invigorated by that. I do not feel good with that. So I think that's part of it.
So is it the process of making the video what you actually don't enjoy, or the emotional management of being on camera and what people might say about it?
I think it's mostly the actual work of it. I don't enjoy finding the selects. I don't enjoy creating the video. I don't enjoy cutting it, like any of it. I don't find any joy in it. And so if we only say that content is the only way, we might be overlooking ideas that no one has ever tried before. So that's why I want to keep an open mind. And I always get weary when someone says it has to be this way, because I always challenge that. I'm like, really? Are we sure this is the only way to do things? Because when everyone does the same thing, everything becomes really flat and noisy and boring. And then I don't want to hang out on social media.
See, this is very interesting because this is actually the main pain point that I hear most companies talk about, actually learning the skills to make engaging and relatable content. It doesn't come naturally, it's a skill that you need to learn, and that takes some time. So I think Melinda's approach here was actually brilliant because she didn't like that process. So she was like, let me get that out of the way and just pop into other people's feeds and places and stuff like that. So that's very interesting. So realistically, do you think this is something people can do when they're trying to grow their business? Or do you think they need some sort of following or authority first?
I think point of view wins. And I think it actually wins over an overabundance of education, of information, of potentially even experience. So one time I was talking to a friend. We had many conversations about how we're kind of getting sick of the marketing that feels manipulative. And one day he sent me an article of this one guy that he also called out the same thing. And he wrote this article about a new philosophy in marketing. It was a new way. He called it non-coercive marketing. I connected so deeply with what he said that I was scouring his whole page. The value was not in volume. The value was in that strong point of view that we connected on, and it was connected on emotion. We can create one article, we can create one video that resonates so deeply with people that they will never forget us, and they will go tell their friends. And I still tell people about this, and it was like 7 months ago that I found out about him, maybe longer.
So you might want to write this down, because I completely agree with Melinda here. The thing is, if you develop such a strong point of view of like a really like vision on something very specific, and you put it out, people will want to talk about it, right? So this is a really good way to open doors, and it has worked really well for me. Like actually, the most traffic I've ever got is when I had something to talk about that was kind of like unique and different, and I felt very strong about. And some people will not like it, but other people will really like resonate with it and then follow you. Okay, so you don't like video and you've decided you don't want to do it for now, but you still have to grow your brand and your business. So what are you doing now?
You're like, if you're not doing video, what are you doing? Lately I've been writing, and that has been giving me a lot of joy, and working through, because a lot of the people that end up taking my program, working with me, we have very similar views and struggles like imposter syndrome and perfectionism and not feeling like we're enough. We're always told that we need to do things the right way, but then everyone is selling us the right way. And then we realize, oh, it's just their right way. And we never developed our own way that actually does work for us and does bring us joy. And so I talk a lot about that. And I've been enjoying writing, and that's been part of my content recently. But that's where I spend a lot of my time. And then developing new products and working on sales collaborations with people. That's where most of my time is.
So have you noticed if people actually have a different relationship with you or interact with you in a different way when they consume your written content than when they consume your video?
I want to say yes, only because, I'm thinking of your article in particular. Less about my stuff, just because my stuff I still do post on things like Instagram. But when you're on a searchable platform, so let's say somewhere where it's a blog, it does show up in a search of some sort, like a Google search. There's a different mindset of someone who is consuming. They could be wanting to take a break for the day. They might want to numb out. They might just be going through all of the content and not in a state of action. They're maybe in a state of inaction, most likely, if they're consuming something on an addictive platform like, we'll say, Instagram. But when you write an article, typically you're answering a question that they're going to find that answer on something like Google. They're actively seeking out an answer or to find more perspectives on it. So you have, I would think, a higher likelihood of a conversion or of someone that would actually be interested to work with you. Like they're more ready to purchase or hire you for something if they're seeking out that specific answer. And it sounds like that article did solve something, like it answered a question that people were looking for. Whereas social media, it's like, yeah, you're there and it's good. You're staying top of mind, you're showing up. So then when someone needs you, you're going to be the one that comes to mind. But as far as the article is concerned, you're catching people who are more at that time of ready to hire you.
So what Melinda is talking about here is intent. While I think short form video is actually the best way to get discovered these days, because you can reach a lot of people who don't know you yet, honestly, written content has a massive impact when people are trying to like figure something out and they come across like an article of yours, for example. I've only published I think 8 articles in my entire career, and a lot of people actually reached out because they read this on Medium or my website or something like that. So I do think different types of content and different formats might actually be better or worse in different parts of the funnel. A video can easily get thousands and thousands of views, and an article might be more on the hundreds, but actually if those 100 are willing to figure something out and find your article and that helps them, they might be more inclined to like reach out or follow up with you. And this has happened to me as well, even with just like 8 articles that I have published in my entire career. So there's definitely like a value to written content, and I would recommend you think how we can help maybe like further down the funnel, not like for brand awareness, but I think it's working for her and it's worked for me. So it's something to consider. Quantity is great for you to get discovered. Like if you can post everyday short form video, go do it. But then quality is the thing that'll make people convert, I think. And that might be like a written article or a long form video or like the whole compound of all of these things.
I just want people to know that there are plenty of creators. If they feel overwhelmed or pressured about creating content, you're not alone. You're not alone. There's many of us.
So you're definitely not alone, but if you're curious to try a strategy that I've been using to pump out content regularly on my social media platforms, I would recommend you watch this video next where I break it down. And I think it'll be useful for you to like reduce the time you spend on content creation, but continue to put out stuff that is useful for people.